Welcome back to our channel, your ultimate source for all the thrilling drama unfolding in Port Charles. Today is a beautiful, bright day, and we are absolutely delighted to share some incredibly intense updates with you. Let us jump straight into the heart-pounding action that awaits. As a devoted viewer who has celebrated well over 60 birthdays and spent decades passionately following every twist and turn of this remarkable television series, I must confess that the current storyline has me absolutely captivated. I have watched countless legal battles unfold in the dramatic courtrooms of our beloved fictional city, but the impending clash between Rick and Curtis is shaping up to be something entirely unprecedented. Rick has never been one to shy away from utilizing the most underhanded and dirty tactics imaginable to secure a victory, and it is clear that he is sharpening his claws for this upcoming civil suit. Isaiah has filed a massive lawsuit against Curtis, citing severe physical and mental trauma, and the sheer audacity of this legal maneuver has left me breathless. Will Rick actually cross the line and destroy a man's life just to win a case? The answer, as any longtime fan will tell you, is a resounding and terrifying yes, because Rick thrives in the murky waters of moral ambiguity. Watching Rick maneuver through the legal landscape is like watching a highly skilled predator stalk its prey. He has eagerly accepted the civil suit on behalf of Isaiah, and his strategy is already becoming chillingly apparent. Rick is not merely looking to win financial compensation for Isaiah, he is looking to utterly dismantle Curtis on a deeply personal and public level. To achieve this, Rick is preparing to dig deep into the darkest, most painful chapters of Curtis's past, specifically targeting his devastating history of cocaine addiction. As someone who has witnessed the heartbreaking journey of addiction portrayed on screen over the years, I find this tactic both brilliant from a legal standpoint and absolutely reprehensible from a human perspective. Rick knows that to convince a jury of Curtis's alleged brutality, he must paint a picture of a man who is inherently unstable and prone to explosive violence. To fully grasp the magnitude of what Rick is attempting to do, we must take a long, nostalgic walk down memory lane and revisit the days when Curtis was desperately trying to build a career in law enforcement. Long before the current drama, Curtis had a promising path laid out before him as a potential agent for the Drug Enforcement Administration. However, that dream was tragically derailed by his crippling addiction to cocaine. He lost his coveted opportunity to become a federal agent because the drugs took hold of his life, a failure that has haunted him ever since. I remember watching those early struggles, feeling a profound sense of empathy for a man who was fighting his own internal demons while trying to do good in the world. Now, Rick is threatening to take that ancient, painful history and parade it in front of a judge and jury, weaponizing Curtis's greatest vulnerability. The history of the Drug Enforcement Administration in this town is rich and deeply intertwined with the core characters we have grown to love. Those of us who have been watching for years will vividly recall when Jordan first arrived on the scene. She was a fierce, uncompromising undercover agent for the DEA, bringing a level of grit and determination that immediately commanded respect. It was through her dangerous and thrilling work with the agency that she first crossed paths with Anna. The collaboration between the DEA and the World Security Bureau provided some of the most exhilarating television I have ever witnessed, leading to a profound and enduring friendship between Jordan and Anna. They were two powerful women navigating a male-dominated world of international espionage and narcotics trafficking, relying on each other for survival. The web of connections within the DEA extends even further, drawing in other familiar faces from the past. Jordan also worked closely with Marcus, a former police detective who eventually transitioned into a formidable DEA agent himself. The history between these characters creates a complex tapestry of loyalty, duty, and shared trauma. Curtis was intimately connected to this world, not just through his own ambitions, but through his deep personal ties. He was a loyal friend to Sean, and crucially, he is the brother of Tommy, the late husband of Jordan. It was actually Jordan who saw the potential in Curtis and recruited him into the DEA, hoping to channel his skills into a noble cause. Unfortunately, that hope was shattered when Curtis was unceremoniously fired due to his escalating struggle with cocaine addiction, a devastating blow that fractured relationships and altered the course of his life forever. The tragedy of Curtis's addiction is that it did not just cost him his badge, it left a permanent, highly visible stain on his record. Rick knows all too well that the past is never truly buried, especially when it is documented in government files. Curtis's history of drug abuse and the subsequent crimes he committed during his darkest days are all matters of public record. There are documented charges of break-ins, physical altercations, and deeply concerning threats. While some might argue that these incidents are ancient history, a shark like Rick will focus intently on the violent nature of these past transgressions. He will undoubtedly highlight the fights that resulted in serious injuries and the terrifying instances involving firearms, meticulously constructing a narrative that portrays Curtis as a ticking time bomb who has always possessed a dangerous and unpredictable edge. How exactly will Rick connect a past addiction to a current civil suit? Will the judge actually allow decades-old history to influence a modern jury? I firmly believe that Rick will utilize a cunning combination of legal precedent and psychological manipulation to ensure this evidence is admitted. He will likely bring in expert witnesses to testify that individuals who have suffered from severe cocaine addiction, even if they have maintained sobriety for an extended period, often struggle with lingering neurological effects, including a notoriously hot temper. Rick will wave dozens of scientific studies in front of the jury, highlighting the well-documented correlation between a history of heavy narcotic use and sudden outbursts of extreme violence. By doing so, he will attempt to prove that Curtis's alleged assault on Isaiah was not an isolated incident, but rather the inevitable manifestation of a deeply ingrained, chemically altered psychological profile. Furthermore, Rick will not stop at Curtis's past cocaine use. He will mercilessly attack his current lifestyle choices to strengthen his case. While Curtis may not have touched cocaine in many years, it is no secret that he still regularly consumes alcohol. In my years of watching these courtroom dramas unfold, I have seen lawyers twist everyday habits into sinister character flaws, and Rick will do exactly that. He will present a mountain of scientific research demonstrating how alcohol consumption significantly lowers inhibitions and increases aggressive tendencies, particularly in individuals with a pre-existing history of substance abuse. Rick will argue that Curtis, fueled by alcohol and burdened by his past, completely lost control and viciously attacked Isaiah. This strategy is designed to strip away Curtis's current respectable image and expose the volatile man lurking beneath the surface. The primary objective of Rick's ruthless legal strategy is to ensure that Isaiah is universally perceived as the undisputed, innocent victim in this scenario. Rick will pull out all the stops to portray Isaiah as a man who was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time, subjected to a brutal and unprovoked beating by a man who could not control his deep-seated rage. Rick will argue passionately that Curtis's violent outburst was entirely consistent with a personality that has been forever marred by past addictions. Is there any way for Curtis to defend himself against such a well-orchestrated character assassination? It will require a monumental effort, because when Rick spins a narrative, he weaves it so tightly that the truth often becomes completely suffocated. I fear that the jury will be swayed by the emotional weight of Isaiah's alleged suffering and the damning evidence of Curtis's history. But the true danger for Curtis lies in a secret far more explosive than his past drug use, a secret that could guarantee his absolute ruin if it falls into Rick's hands. As a seasoned viewer, I am practically vibrating with anticipation because I know that Rick is dangerously close to uncovering evidence of Curtis's aborted plot to assassinate Drew. Yes, you heard that correctly. Due to Rick's intricate network of connections, specifically his close ties to Sonny and the subsequent friendship between Sonny and the formidable Selena, the truth is bound to surface. Rick is a master at exploiting the criminal underworld for his own legal gain, and it is highly probable that he will follow the money trail straight to Selena, uncovering the shocking revelation that Curtis actively attempted to orchestrate a hit on a man who was once considered his closest friend. The betrayal embedded in the storyline between Curtis and Drew is one of the most heartbreaking arcs I have witnessed in recent years. The fact that Curtis allowed his anger and desperation to drive him to the point of hiring an assassin to eliminate Drew is a chilling testament to how far he had fallen. Although Curtis ultimately experienced a moment of clarity, changed his mind, and frantically canceled the sinister plan before any blood was spilled, the damage was already done in the eyes of the law. He had already taken the definitive step of paying Selena to execute the murder. He had provided the initial financial compensation, even if the final transfer was never completed. From a legal standpoint, this is not just a momentary lapse in judgment. It is concrete, undeniable evidence of a premeditated intent to commit murder, or at the very least, conspiracy to commit murder for hire. Imagine the sheer devastation if Rick manages to introduce this assassination plot into the civil trial. He would not just be proving that Curtis is capable of a spontaneous physical altercation with Isaiah, he would be demonstrating that Curtis possesses a cold, calculating willingness to end a human life. Rick would use this aborted hit on Drew as the ultimate trump card, destroying any shred of credibility or sympathy Curtis might have garnered from the jury. The narrative would instantly shift from a tragic tale of a recovered addict struggling with his temper to a terrifying portrait of a ruthless criminal mastermind who uses the mob to solve his personal disputes. I can already picture the smug, triumphant look on Rick's face as he drops this bombshell in the courtroom, leaving the entire town reeling in shock and disbelief. What makes this impending legal doom so incredibly tragic and emotionally resonant is the agonizing timing of it all. The writers have masterfully orchestrated this crisis to coincide with one of the most vulnerable and joyous moments in a family's life. Rick is aggressively pushing this narrative, actively trying to send Curtis to a cold, unforgiving prison cell right at the exact moment when Portia's pregnancy is reaching its final critical stages. Portia is heavily pregnant, carrying the physical and emotional weight of bringing a new life into the world. And now she is forced to watch her husband face the very real possibility of long-term incarceration. The stress, the terror, and the profound sadness of this situation are palpable, and as a viewer, my heart absolutely breaks for her.